Hello everyone. How's everybody doing today? Happy June. Cannot believe June is here. I am just going to give you a minute to hop on while I get everything loaded on my end here. Now, I thought we had sound off at my end. We're just going to get that going. Looks like it has popped up live. So, hi Lena, how are you? Now I need to just bump this up a little. How have you been doing? See if that is straight. Ruby's scratching at the door. She wants in. Oh, hey Lena, I have a swap sign up on the team page that might work for you. We're just mailing directly to participants. So this one might be a good option for you. Busy, although maybe you're too busy to do swaps, but if you would like to do swaps, make sure that you take a look at that swap sign up there. Hi, Ramona. All right, so this week is going to be the Mediterranean Blooms Suite. So I'm going to start with this card today, and then every day I will be back with a new card for you guys. So I should just quickly introduce myself. I am Alana Worf, Sleepless Stamper. I'm in Winnipeg, Manitoba in Canada, and I am a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. So I was just saying we'll be featuring the Mediterranean Blooms Suite with the Citrus Blooms bundle this week. So each day I'll come back with a new card. I still have the same host code open, so if you are interested in receiving the card kits, you can place a $65 order using this host code, and then next week I will mail you out the supplies to make these cards. You have to pass. Oh, no worries. Where are you heading on holiday to? We will do, future swaps will be the same, where we just mail straight to the people, so the participants, so that'll be easier to participate in than mailing all your cards to me and then me packaging them up and mailing them back. It'll be much more cost friendly that way. So we'll do it that way again in the future. That's how we will do them. Yeah, so if you're interested, you can place a $65 order, then I will send you the supplies to make the 5 cards. If you already have the bundle, you can purchase other product. If you don't have the bundle, then maybe you want to purchase this suite. So I will just show you the suite. 5 provinces, that sounds cool. So are you coming through Manitoba? Hopefully we will get to see you. All right, so this suite has this super cute stamp set, which I'm going to show you in a minute. And then it has these gems too. I didn't use those gems today, but I am going to just grab them to show you. I forgot to, I might have already labeled the package. I'm sure I have these, so 1 second. Opal Rounds Assortment. I was sure I did, but maybe I do not. I thought I had them here. Well, maybe they will turn up. They are not available at the moment, but I did think I had these. So these ones come with, I think it's navy gold and white gems. And then we have this really cute paper. I think I've shown you guys this paper when I first got it. I think I showed it to you guys on a live, but I want to make sure I show this to you guys again with the suite. So this beautiful lemon pattern, I'm going to use that today. And then it's got this nice blue and white. We were talking last time I showed these that they Mediterranean, of course, remind us a lot of Greece and Italy. We've got these really pretty lemons on one side and then this navy on the back. I'm also featuring this today. I love the softness of this one, so I will have to make sure I use this one as well. And then this blue on the back. I am hoping the connection stays good for you guys. They're coming to actually replace our lines tomorrow, so I'm having to use my hotspot, and our data has been wonky as well. So hopefully it all plays nicely tonight. And then we have the oranges and another tile type pattern. So let me just see if that's all of them. 1, 2, I think there's one more I need to find. 1, 2, 3, 4. I need to find 2 more. There's 2 in this pack I have not yet shown you. So I think that is the oranges and lemons combined with this really pretty blue on the back. And then the oranges. with this blue on the back. I also really love this one. So this paper is going to be super fun to create with this week. It's always so hard to decide what to use because I have to determine what bundles I'm using. Hi, Linda. How are you? For certain events. So Lena, let me know what dates you're coming so that hopefully we will get to book some time with you while you're here if you're up for that. If you want to just message me and let me know what dates and if you think you'll have availability. I was saying that it's hard to decide sometimes what bundle to use because I need to decide, do I want to use a bundle that I will be using with Stamp Club or in a separate class? So who knows, maybe this one will still make it to a class and I will just have to come up with extra ideas on top of the 5. So let me know if this bundle interests you guys. I would love to know that. I think it's super pretty. So today I'm not going to do any coloring. I will make sure that I do that throughout the week though, but for today I am mostly using DSP. I love being able to use DSP, but I want to also show you the bundle. So you get these images here that you can either turn into lemons or oranges. You're not quite sure yet. Well, keep me posted if that's all right with you, if you'd like to. And then I love this little texture image here. I'm going to use that slightly today. And then some cute greetings. So we have those, and it is a cling mount stamp set. So rubber with the cling mount. It is not polymer. And then we have these dies. Now you get 2 sheets. These ones are awesome. So this really pretty frame, which you could use with so many other things. You could use this for so many other things. This does not have to be limited to this Citrus Blooms bundle. You could use this for Christmas time, I feel like. I think you could use it with a lot of other, like with flowers, so many different things you could use it with. And then you get all of these. Now, I was telling you guys last week that I've been trying to quickly outline in Sharpie before I pull any dies off, and I have not done that yet, but I have been careful to put them back in the right place, and then I will still do that. So you get this outline here, and then you get the insert, and then you get more leaves. So I just taped these together with some Post-it tape so that I could cut this frame out, because you could cut this detail out of the middle of a piece of cardstock without the frame, or you can use it with the frame, or you could just use the frame itself. So we have lots of possibilities with these. And then you also get all of these here. So you've got the frame to cut out this image as well as this image. Then you get the little frames to cut out the flowers. I did actually stamp some today and I decided not to use them, so I'll hang on to these. Maybe they'll get used on a future project. I actually stamped those on some pattern paper, but they didn't make the cut for this card. And then you get these really pretty leaves. So these leaves, that's a flower. So I did use the leaves on the inside, and then these I actually fussy cut. Now perhaps these would have worked. They probably would have worked, but I just fussy cut them. So I will do that for you guys. Actually, I'll test it out and see if the dies work with them while we're here. You are watching while you're working on Under the Moon. Oh, I can't wait to see what you made. I was not sold on that stamp set at first, and I now have it. I can't wait to make something with it. There's some really cool things I've seen. So that is the Mediterranean's Photocopy the Dies. That's smart. I love that. All right. I love it when you guys watch and share tips. By the way, I am not opposed to that. We call it pulling a David, right, Lena? So if you have a hot tip or something, like even if you can save me, I'm not opposed to you guys sharing something that will make my life easier. I'm not somebody who feels like you should not tell me what to do. I consider it that you are trying to help me. So I'm not opposed to that. All right. So I'll show you my supplies here. Now I should just quickly say, if you feel like sharing, please do. And then just come back and comment that you've shared. And if you want any extra details on this or you have any questions, please do message me. I don't mind at all. Okay, so this is 4 1/4 by 11, and I've scored this at 5 1/2. I did that in advance. Sometimes I do that with you. Sometimes I do that ahead of time. This element that's going to go on the inside is 4 by 5 1/4. I'll show you guys these measurements after because I am going to cut the DSP with you. Then I have also layered, I'm going to tuck that inside so that it makes sense as to where it goes. It's not necessarily needed, but I wanted a little bit of extra texture. So hopefully you can see this here. I've actually layered the DSP on another layer of Night of Navy that is 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. I was actually contemplating making this a gatefold card. I actually still have it here. So I was going to put this layer on the front of here and then it would open up. But then I was thinking, well, then I've got to figure out what's going to go in this panel. So I decided to just skip the gatefold. But if you're going to make these at home, you could always alter that if you wish to. So this layer that is got just a very thin reveal, 4 1/8 by 5 3/8, and then my piece of DSP is 4 by 5 1/4. So there is just a super thin reveal, which you'll see again when I'm putting this together. And out of a quarter sheet of basic white, I cut this beautiful frame. I just love this. We're just going to pop out those negative spaces. I think that is gorgeous. And don't you guys think that would work really well for so many other things? Cut that in some Christmas colors or gold paper or silver paper. Oh my gosh, there's so many things now that I would like to make with it. There are so many products right now I want to play with. The I think it's called Frames and Flowers. I have it sitting right here. This is taunting me, Frames and Flowers. Sorry, I'm getting distracted for a moment here, but I cannot wait to make something with this. And that is another one I need to decide. Is that going to be a weekly series or what am I going to do with it? Okay, then I have two of this little leaf, which is this one here. And I have one set of these little flowers here. That is Old Olive, by the way. And then this here in Daffodil Delight. So I just did one set of those, and I'm going to stamp on those a little bit. So there is not a stamp in the in here that coordinates. So I'll show you what I'm going to do with that. Okay, so first of all, I will stamp my greeting. So I do have a scrap of Daffodil Delight and a scrap of basic white for the greeting. Okay, now these are for the inside. If you're wondering where they go, they're actually for the inside. So we're going to move those aside. I'll stamp my greeting, and then I need to get some other things ready, like this here. I'm sorry you get to watch me fussy cut because the dies actually don't coordinate with the lemon paper. I thought they did, but they actually don't. So that is a fussy cut, and then we'll test it out and we'll see if those little dies coordinate with these little blossoms. All right, so I have my greeting stamp ready, and I am going to use, I almost called it Old Olive because I was just talking about that cardstock. This is not Old Olive, it is Night of Navy. You guys probably caught that. If I would have said it out loud, I'm sure somebody would have helpfully corrected me. So this is just going to stamp there. Now I find sometimes with a really thin greeting that I have to redo it. I'm gonna keep that one, it's fine. And then I have my tiny little cutter here that I am going to trim this down with. Now I don't need to stamp anything else in Night of Navy, so that's gonna go away. Get that out of the way before I stick my hands in there. And we are just gonna trim this down. So I just put this so that I have the top edge just beyond the guard. Like I can just see the letters there. And my cutter is a little bit broken, so I have to pull that away. Oh, this might be too tight. I might have cut that too small, but we'll see. I think I did. Might have to stamp that one again. Let's see here. And then we're gonna rotate and cut again. I wanted this to be nice and thin. I didn't want this to distract from all those pretty lemons or the pretty lemon. I'm just straightening this up a little bit, and then I'll see if this is too thin, if I want to widen it and redo it. I missed it. I let the paper slide. So this might be just a little too thin. We'll see. See, look at my guide there. My blade just goes right back because the little spring in there is broken. That's why I have to pull it out. It still works though, so I don't want to get rid of it because it's my favorite little cutter. If anyone has a lead on one of these, I would be forever grateful. I would love to get my hands on one of these. I've seen them pop up online a couple times and I've been like just too slow. I would buy one in a heartbeat. Okay, I will need that cutter again, but let's see. This will work. I'm not going to stamp that again. I'm going to keep this. So now what I'm going to do is just slightly distress the edges, especially when my layers are pretty clean and simple. I like to add just a little bit of texture. It's not much, but just a little bit of texture by distressing. I can't talk. I was going to say by decorating the edges. What is everybody working on tonight? And what did you all do on the weekend? We did some minor yard work. We had to trim some branches and they should get picked up tomorrow. We were talking last week a little bit about the cankerworms. I don't know where you all are all watching from. Please tell me actually where you're watching from. But where we live, we get these things called cankerworms. It's gross in the trees, and some areas get them more than others, some not at all. And so, like even in the same city. So we get them in our area, so we pay to have our trees sprayed because otherwise it's just not even bearable to be in the yard. Their webs are just everywhere and ew. So they came today. I'm so happy the trees are now sprayed. We did have a couple little critters yesterday, so that's good. Okay, so I'm just trimming this little mat down smaller. You had company from Alberta. That's fun. There we go. I have never had this fully swing back like that before, though. I'm going to have to go get a cough candy. My throat gets dry in here. I think it's because I've been putting the fan on when I'm in here because it's so warm. And I think that makes my throat dry. 1 second. I'm just going to grab a throat lozenge. Okay, my apologies for that. Sorry, guys. Hi, Audrey. How are you? You're just in time. I just got back. I was grabbing a throat lozenge. The fan in here makes my throat dry while I'm on a live. All right. So that is the two layers that I wanted to prep for that. And then I told you guys that I wanted to prep this little layer for the inside. So I have a little scrap left over from the strip of my DSP that I used to cut this piece here from my sample and the piece on this card here. So it is already 4 inches wide because I cut the strip off for these two. And then I'm just going to use this here to cut a 1/2 inch strip for the inside. I don't think they will, but I mean, it would be worth asking. I don't think they have anything left from these cutters, even for corrections, because they've been gone for so long, but I would ask. Yeah, no, I don't have a cold anymore. I was getting a little bit sick last week, but took all of my remedies and got rid of it before it really turned into anything. And last week it did the same thing in here when I had the fan on. So I think it's just being in here with the fan because it's the only time that happens. All right, so it's 4 inches and I'm going to cut a 1/2 inch strip. Originally, I thought I would use this on the inside to tie it into the front, but I really liked the navy, so I ended up just going with that still on the inside. But when you're making your own, you could always do that side if you wanted to. I just really loved the pop of navy, so I decided to snip some of these little flowers to go with it. And then I wanted some more color, so I decided to die cut some leaves. So I do not always know what a project is going to finish like when I start it. Sometimes it's just a work in progress and I play as I go. How about you guys? I should say I often sketch things first. Often, not always, but I will often say if I'm designing with this, like last week, I sketched out 4 days worth of ideas and most of them were what I planned on, so that was good. But sometimes I just get going. Okay, so this one here is the one with 1 lemon, so I'll do the same. If you are receiving a kit from me, if you decide to participate with the offer to get the kits for all of these cards, you may get 2 or you may get 1. Like I will cut 1 from my sheet, and it may be different from one person to another, depending on how many people participate and how many single lemons versus double lemons there are. So I am just going to cut into here. I try to cut around the pattern first, or the piece that the element that I'm going to cut, just so that it's easier to access it rather than trying to fussy cut around that while it's still attached to the full sheet. Now I did say that I'm going to try die cutting these little flowers. So let's pick, this one looks like it is the larger one. Now these are kind of hard to see, I will admit. So I had a bit of a challenge fussy cutting around it. So if the die can do that for me, I'm gonna go for it. So we're gonna try to die cut those. And then that way, if they do, anyone that earns the kit, I can die cut them for you, and you won't have to fussy cut them. I won't do the fussy cutting. Like you would get this in your kit and then you would do your fussy cutting. And then I will do the die cutting. So you would get, this would be die cut for you. These little flowers would be die cut. I just can't do the stamping. So you would get, we'll see how this goes, but I'll die cut this for you. I'll give you the strip, like you'll get all the pieces. You will just do the work with them so that you get to enjoy creating as well. All right, we're gonna see if we can make these little dies line up. And if somebody here has done this before, please tell me whether or not it worked for you. I do like that you get 2 sets. So you get 2 of these and you get 2 of these. You get a variety of leaves, and then you also get 2 of these. So if you are making lots, then you can, I'm just going to take 1 from each side here. I think those are the ones I took before because I did stamp some. Now you can kind of see that there's a couple of leaves that have a bit of a curl to them. So I try to use those and match up. So let's see. This looks like it might be that. Let's try it. I think this is the match. So then the trick is just getting this to hold in the middle. Now we'll line this one up. So again, I'm going to look for the petal that is curly. This is tricky because this paper, like these little flowers or these little blossoms, are not very well defined. So that's a bit tricky, but we're going to give it a try. If it'll save the fussy cutting. Are you team fussy cut, Lena? I know you love to fussy cut. So you would probably opt to just fussy cut these, wouldn't you? How about everybody else? Are you fussy cutters? Or are you, give me a die cut and I'll die cut all day? Okay, I'm just gonna run these through the die cutting machine just behind me here. Rather than grabbing it and bringing it over there, I'll just quickly do this. And hopefully this will work. Let's see. Did this fussy cut. Oh, that's good enough, I think. I don't know, guys. What do you think? Sometimes quicker to fussy cut. That's true. I think I'm going to use them. I think I will. Okay, so I'm going to put these back right where they belong. Now, because I have not outlined these just yet, I want to try to put them back in their original spot so that I can still mark with a Sharpie where everything goes. And I may have to just take Lena's advice and photocopy this, and then that way you can keep it in there to see what goes back in there. I have been labeling things when they arrive. I'll show you guys. I did label this stamp set. I got a little label maker, and I have been labeling with what catalog or what offering it was in. So this is the annual catalog versus, say, online exclusives or the holiday or spring. And then I put the stamp set price and the bundle price. I also mark the dies with one of those as well. And with this lack of internet connection, I cannot even print anything with my label maker. It needs a Wi-Fi connection, so it won't print. So right now we're using data. Thankfully, our phone company has increased our data usage so that I could tether to my phone. I didn't want to have to postpone today and do a catch-up day again. It's a little easier to keep track when I can just go live every day. Oopsie. So thankfully it's working. Is it working okay on your guys' end? Just to explain what I'm doing, there is no die for this image, so I am fussy cutting, and I can see there Linda said that she is enjoying fussy cutting. So I find it easier to mostly keep my cutting hand steady and then rotate with your non-cutting hand. So my non-cutting hand is doing most of the movement, and I'm basically just opening the scissors and closing them as needed with my cutting hand, if that makes sense. And again, some of these little blossoms in the yellow are very hard to see against the background, but they're so pretty. I tried to line up those dies and they didn't seem to work, so if I have missed something, please do tell me. Now, it's a little trickier to get in there when it's behind another element, but it can be done. I love the end result of fussy cutting when there's no die. And it's always more enjoyable when you're doing 1 or 2 versus 40 for a swap. I've done it before, or I mean, I don't mind doing it when it's for swag. I don't mind doing it when it's for swaps either, because there is great satisfaction in mass production, I do have to say. But when I am making table favors or swag and I end up fussy cutting on tags, I do enjoy that too, because it's fun to see it all come together. I can remember, I don't remember what the paper is called, but there were those vintage deer that all the paper was vintage looking. Ethan would probably remember what it was called. He's very good at remembering the names. And he's helped sort it enough times that I'm sure he remembers. He's just not home right now. He's at work. But, and for those who don't know, Ethan's our oldest son. Whoopsie. And so can't hang on to those scissors today. But I fussy cut those deer for everybody's swag tag, I think. Anyhow, so that is this really pretty little image there. And then now I have one more thing that I want to stamp. So these little elements, I'll bring this closer. They are fine just as they are, but can you see the difference between, I'll bring this closer, this one here and this? Can you see the difference there? This one's just a little more plain looking, and then that one's got a little extra color and texture to it. So what I'm gonna do is I am going to put those on a scrap sheet. Don't mind this one. I have used this already, but we're going to use it again. You can see I was using that last week. I have this little element. I don't tend to put the stickers on the back of my stamps, so I'm going to show you here. It's this element here. And I am going to ink it up with Daffodil Delight. I die cut these out of Daffodil Delight. And I am going to just stamp these little, they're like little diamonds. It matches the pattern of DSP. Let's show you. See if I can find that one quickly. Should be one of the back ones, because this one here, sorry. This one here. So it matches that shape there. And you can add texture to your background. Whoopsie, you can add texture to your die cut. The paper is falling all over the floor because I have that fan on. There we go. So, or I'm going to just use it to add texture here, because I think it would be neat actually if you stamped that in Old Olive on the leaves. I'm not going to. I'll leave them as they are. But I can see this one has more rubber on this side, so I know that, and this one it's pretty tight to the image, so I know that if I go into this corner here, that should be pretty close to the image there if I just overlap that onto that flower. And then I'm going to do that again right here. So now I'll do one more time. That flower has a little bit more texture than if I were to just leave it plain. And it's fine if you want to leave it plain. I just wanted to add a little bit more. So bring that closer so you can see that. It's got that little detail. You just have to do each one separately because it's hard to see otherwise where else that's going or where the ink is going. So now I'll just put these in my hand and bring them a little closer for you to see that now they've got just a little bit of texture. Okay, so that's one of the parts where if you qualify for these kits, I'll give you the die cut, but I can't do the stamping for you. So if you don't have this stamp set, then you could always find another stamp set that you have that has some texture. We've had quite a few different ones over the years. There may even be one now. I'll have to take a peek and see. But just to give you some ideas, if you don't own this one and you want to add texture, it is not the end of the world. You could find something else in your stash. I have even used leaf stamps or grass stamps and just stamped over top, even say a little strip of cardstock border. If I wanted it to have a bit of texture, I've just taken another stamp and stamped on it, and you'd never know. It just gives it a little bit of extra color. Okay, so we can assemble now. I'll keep this here, and we are going to work from the front back. Okay, so this little detail here, if you wanted to, you could put this on adhesive sheets first. I did not do that. I like for this to still have a little bit of movement, so I didn't want to die cut this with the adhesive sheet. So I am just putting a little bit of Tombow around the edges only. I am not even putting any. Now you need to be very conservative. You do not want a lot of Tombow or it is going to squish all over the front of your card. So I don't know if you can see how thin that bead of Tombow is, but it is very thin. If you wanted to, you could even just dab it in the corners maybe. And that might even be enough if you don't find that you have a light enough hand to just go really gentle. So that is now there. I don't have any seeping out. It was just a super thin amount. So next, I am going to dimensional. Actually, do you know what I'm going to do? This is going to get glued onto this next. And I still don't go right close to the edges. I still give myself a decent border between my Tombow and the edge so that it doesn't seep out. Tombow is great, but we know how sticky it is if it seeps out of the edges. It is meant to be a repositional adhesive. So if it dries, it becomes tacky so that it can be repositional. So it's meant to have that function. Okay, now I am going to, the same thing I did on that greeting layer, I'm just gonna slightly distress this. And I told you guys I was done with the Night of Navy ink, but I'm actually not. There is one more thing I need to do, which I will do real quick right now so that it has a little bit of time to not get my fingers too inky. So to make this stand out just a little bit, because I had the yellow on yellow, which I will show you here, place that there. Whoopsie. Now everything wants to fly all over the place. So this kind of got lost a little bit in here. So I just took the edges of this and just tapped them just gently on the edge of, or on the ink pad. Tap the edges on the ink pad. Then I'll show you. It just gives it a slight border. And then now if I place that on there, it pops just a little bit. Okay, Now, if you're not comfortable doing that with your ink pad, you can do it with your marker. But because my markers are new and I find them to be like more juicy, it was actually going further in. The ink was seeping in more than just that edge. So I like to use the ink pad over the marker. Now I'm going to snip a bunch of these in half. And we are going to get this ready. So do you guys, I did tell you I was going to glue this onto my card first, so I should do that. Do you guys have anything that you in particular would like for me to show you, whether with this stamp set or with something else? Is there a technique or a fold or something that you guys would like to see featured in these weekly lives? Okay, so now I'm going to glue this down. This navy is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. And that Tombow just allows me that little bit of flexibility that I can pick it up, make sure it's in place, centered on there, and good to go. So now I'll cover that up. This is next. This is going to go right in here. I love this paper. What do you guys think of this paper? I think it's beautiful. Get those backings off. Now I can just hold the one corner there and position where I want and pat that down. Get these backings out of the way. Okay. Whoops, there's one. Now we've got to get this ready. So this is going to just go here. I used the Just Checking In, and I have a little bit of border from my mini dimensionals that I'm going to use to adhere this. So I just snipped a piece of border. Then I will snip 2 pieces. Hi, Sharon. How are you? So good to see you. I have some ribbon to bring to you. I will find out when Ethan is out your way this week, or somewhat your way with work, and he will probably be willing to swing it by for me. He's really good that way. The paper is so pretty, Sharon. I started off with just the paper too, and then added the bundle later. I wasn't sure I would get the bundle because I loved that citrus one last year, but I started seeing way too many pretty ideas. So I have double deckered a little strip here, and that's going to go here where it overlaps, or it goes over the edge of the lemons. And I put a single layer here where it will sit on the lemons. Now, let me just see. No, I didn't put too much. Okay, so first though, I accidentally pulled that backing and I didn't realize I had. I want to add a linen thread bow. You guys know me and my linen thread bows. Linen thread and white baker's twine. They are my go-to. Have you all noticed? You could do so much even with just the paper, Sharon. It's so pretty. I love this paper. I love navy and white. And then those pops of citrus are just so pretty. Okay, so this does need to be a little bit wider. My little loops. And then I can glue dot this right here. I'm just going to do a quick dry fit first though to make sure that that's going to be about where I want it. So if I glue dot it just kind of right in the nook of those 2 petals, then we should be good. Thank you guys for tuning in to watch. I have been enjoying coming here every day. I was chatting with Rose. I think many of you know Rose on the weekend, Rose Coleman, and about daily lives. And she was asking me if I'm enjoying it. And I just said, I love it. It's like nice to look forward to and to have a reason to be creating every day. There we go. So now this can be dimensionaled in place. So I'll bring that a little closer so you can see. And then I can take these and glue dot them. So I have some little glue dots here. So those are gonna go about right there. And I have the small, I'm just giving them a little squish first. Then I have the small rhinestones that I will embellish them with. So we're gonna just pick one up at a time and stick it to the glue dot. I hemmed and hawed over the rhinestones. I wasn't sure if I was gonna add them. I put them on and then I took them off. And let's see if I have one. Thought for a second maybe one was left on the top, but it's not. Okay, so then we're gonna tuck that guy in there and then put that back out of the way. I have a paper piercer here, or you could use your take your pick tool if you have that. So I'm just embellishing with the tiny little rhinestones. These are the size small in the package. You get 3 in there. Thanks, Linda. Now, don't run yet. I'm going to do the inside of the card. Oops, that's crooked. You guys probably saw how crooked that was and you were being too nice to me. I was actually going through cards yesterday because I need to get some in the mail. If you have not yet received a card in the mail that you would have won from my share draws, I was getting those ready to go out. And where was I going with that? I noticed how crooked one of the greetings was. So I was trying to fix it up. All right, that still looks a little crooked, but maybe I can shuffle it just a little bit. Do you guys ever do that? I do, and then I regret it sometimes when it rips something. Okay, so we have our basic white that is going to go on the inside. This is 4 by 5 1/4. I'll open this up so you guys can see that. I didn't die cut. I cut this strip of DSP for that earlier. So I'm going to adhere that first. And just a little bit down the middle is enough, again, so that I don't have it seeping out the edges. And I'm going to just use this as my guide. It's about 1 inch up from the bottom if you are going to make these along at home. And we'll just shuffle that to one side, because if I line it up with one edge, any discrepancy I can just trim off here. I'm going to trim that off. So if you're just tuning in, let me know if you have any special requests for a technique or a fold or something like that that you would like to see done throughout the week. I do plan on incorporating the sketches from the catalog. I think it's page 21 or 22. Okay, so I just trimmed up that edge. That's now cleaned up. And now I'm going to glue this little guy down, and I'm just going to use a glue dot. And I'll just put that right here. I'm not going to dimensional things on the inside of the card because I find then it adds too much bulk. So I have that, and then I wanted a little bit more. So, and especially now that these ones are, they're a little bit bigger with the extra room from die cutting them instead of fussy cutting them. So this one is going to go right here. And this one is going to go right here. But I want a little bit more green here. So what I did was I came in here and snipped this off. Whoops, missed a little part of it. I don't want that little piece dangling, so I'm going to cut that off. And then I have these little itty bitty glue dots. And I'm just putting a little glue dot under the bottom. Whoopsie, my strand of glue dots wants to flail all over the place. So there's a little glue dot under here. Now I'm just tucking that in right here so that there's a little bit more green on that side. Now, you guys also know, if you've been tuning in, that I do not like to use Tombow on the back of white cardstock, especially if there's a lot of open space. If I had stamped all over this, then I wouldn't be, or if it was textured, I wouldn't be so concerned, because then it's not noticeable. But I find that the tip of the glue bottle, even if I go super gentle, tends to leave a little indent. So I'm not going to use that. I am going to use my Stampin' Seal Plus, and I will just do a strip along the bottom, a strip along the top, and if you just lift straight up, it tends to play nice. So even pressure all the way along and lift straight up. And then I did these ones further in. So there, now you don't see any of those lines that would otherwise make me crazy. If somebody gave me that card, I would never notice. But when I'm the one making them, I notice. I don't notice like any flaws when other people send me something. It's just my own. So please don't ever feel intimidated to send a card. I would receive it gladly. All right, so that is the inside. I just love this paper. It's probably my favorite in the pack. I don't know, I just love it all. So I don't even know that I could say I have a favorite. But that is today's card. Hopefully it's not too busy with this white on navy and the busy pattern, but I really love the contrast of the white on navy. So that's the one for today. I'm going to say that tomorrow is going to have to be evening time. So I'll say 7 for tomorrow. They're supposed to come and replace our lines tomorrow. Thanks, Lena. And so then hopefully we'll have better connection after that. And that could really just interfere with even being able to tether. I really don't know how it will go tomorrow. During the day, they're supposed to be here between 8 and 4 to replace our cables to the house. So I'll say evening time tomorrow. So 7 o'clock Central, I'll be back again with day number 2 for the Mediterranean blooms or citrus blooms. And then I will let you guys know tomorrow when I will come Wednesday, but I'll be back every day and we'll make 5 projects with this bundle. If you would like to receive all the kits to make these, you can place an order with this host code at my website of $65 or more, and then I'll give you all of the card kits for this week. I do have an order that I have to place, probably not tonight, but tomorrow. So if you're local and you don't want to order separately with the host code, you can always message me and then I can add it to the local order for pickup. But otherwise, thank you guys so much for joining in. I will get a June schedule posted for you guys too. And if you get my emails, I'll send that out. But if you are, speaking of that, if you are on MTS, MTS addresses do not like, MTS is our local internet provider. There's more than one, but it's a main one. And so they do not like big group emails like that. They just keep bouncing back. So if you haven't been getting them, that's probably why. If you have an alternate email address that you can give me, like a Gmail one, those ones have more success. Thanks, Sharon and Lena and Linda. They have more success going through. So if you have an alternate email that you don't mind giving me to add you to, then I can always do that for you. But thanks guys so much for tuning in. I'll be back tomorrow at 7 and I will see you then. Good night, everyone.